reaction starts now.
Today's episode of Variant is brought to you by Domain.com. Today on Variant, it's Sith versus Sith. Darth Vader versus Darth Maul. Comics more than I really wish lightsabers were real. I'm your host, Aris Quinones.
Who doesn't?
Since I decided to do some Star Wars themed episodes, I knew I wanted to do a Versus episode with two Star Wars characters. And after much deliberation, because the Star Wars universe is so massive, I finally narrowed it down to two of the obvious choices: Darth Vader and Darth Maul, because who doesn't love those two characters? I know the two have fought in the comics, with Darth Vader winning by stabbing himself in order to stab Maul, but that is no longer canon, my friends. Plus, I don't think anyone can argue that they're not two of the coolest characters the Star Wars franchise has to offer. So let's learn more about these two Sith Lords so we can decide who would win. I'm going to start with giving a little bit of backstory for the character who probably is the most popular character in the entire franchise of Star Wars, the Jedi turned Sith Lord Darth Vader. Before he was Darth Vader, he was just a boy named Anakin Skywalker. He was considered to be the chosen one and was supposed to bring balance to the Force. Anakin Skywalker was born without a father and lived most of his life on Tatooine with his mother, until Qui-Gon Jinn came to the planet looking for parts for their ship. Anakin won them the parts and his freedom in a pod race. But only with one flaw in the plan: his mother had to stay on Tatooine as a slave. Years later, Anakin became the apprentice of Obi-Wan Kenobi and married the ex-queen of Naboo. Near the end of the Clone Wars, Anakin became very obsessed with saving his family, learning that his wife and unborn child were going to die through a vision. Anakin was determined to find the power to save his loved ones. At this moment, Sith Lord Darth Sidious convinced Anakin to join the newfound Empire as his new Sith apprentice. This is when he would become Darth Vader. Anakin killed most of the last remaining Jedi in the galaxy, except for Yoda and Obi-Wan. Later, Obi-Wan nearly killed Anakin, but instead left him badly injured on the planet of Mustafar. Anakin survived through the help of the Emperor. Now more machine than man, Anakin forever became Darth Vader and served his master as the Empire's Iron Fist. Now let's move on to the double-edged lightsaber-wielding Darth Maul. Maul is a night brother of Darthamir, who was taken by the Sith Lord Darth Sidious at a very early age. Fun fact, his skin isn't naturally red and black. He's actually just all red. The black on his skin are actually tattoos, commonly referred to as Sith tattoos, so the more you know. He has twin brothers, Savage Opress and Faral, but Sidious would eventually take Maul away from his planet and begin training him in the ways of the dark side at a very early age. He does not have any memories of his homeworld of Iridania or of his birth family. He is incapable of normal emotion, only experiencing bloodlust and rage. Which makes me think, can you imagine Darth Maul as a Red Lantern? That would be like one of the most BA combos in all of fiction. A Red Lantern Sith Lord with a double-edged lightsaber. I want this to happen. But I digress. During his training, any show of fear was severely punished by Sidious. Also, if he even hinted at the thought of mercy, he would be treated with severe cruelty. By the time Maul reached adolescence, his master forged him into a weapon of pure hatred. Marked by Sith tattoos that covered his entire body, Maul is the ultimate tool for the dark side. Despite his dramatic childhood, Maul adores his master and has never once contemplated killing him. Well, he eventually did attempt in killing the Emperor alongside his brother Savage Opress, but I'll get into that in a History of Darth Maul episode if I ever do that. But I really do want to do one. Flash forward, Sidious abandoned Maul on an isolated Outer Rim world, forcing him to survive alone while being hunted by hordes of assassin droids. After a month's time, his master returned and challenged him to a duel, one which the already severely weakened Maul quickly loses. Sidious then tells Maul that he has failed and is soon to be replaced. Overwhelmed by hatred, Maul nearly defeats his master. When Maul's emotions are finally spent, he prepares to die, yet his master laughs instead. By wanting to kill his own master, Maul has in fact passed the final test. His master proclaims him as Darth Maul, Dark Lord of the Sith. Now that's just a brief backstory for each of the characters, but now you guys know what time it is. It's time to talk about powers and abilities, and since I'm already talking about Darth Maul, let's start with him. Darth Maul was trained as an assassin rather than a true Sith apprentice by Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Sidious. As a result, his training was particularly focused on physical combat and did not include traditional Sith techniques such as Force Lightning. He became a master of the 7th lightsaber form Juyo. Juyo was a form that allowed the user to harness their most volatile emotions into powerful, aggressive strikes intended to overwhelm an opponent's defense and unbalance them. Darth Maul wields a saber staff, or a double-bladed lightsaber, which he crafted personally after his Sith trials using 4 red synthetic focusing crystals. In order to use such a weapon, the user had to be a true master combatant and was required to be in perfect attunement with their blade. Otherwise, they had just as much of a chance as cutting themselves in half as their opponent. The hilt was specifically fitted and weighted to his personal preference. He wielded it with true mastery. He would often only ignite one of the blades when facing a single opponent, but when faced with multiple opponents, he ignited both of them. Sometimes, however, as we see in Phantom Menace, the comics, and cartoons, he ignited both blades purely to confuse opponents who were not familiar with the weapon's archaic design. Maul was trained to be a superb acrobat. He can run on walls, do triple backflips, and even jump 50 meters. He is able to perform astonishing telekinetic feats such as collapsing massive amounts of debris from a cliff face and blowing away a large company of soldiers with the aid of his brother Savage. He is also able to carry out less destructive but far more intricate telekinetic maneuvers, such as engineering the heart attack of an elderly man and crushing his heart from the inside. That's just all kinds of messed up. He's also a master of stealth and computer hacking, but that's enough talking about Darth Maul. Let's move on to Darth Vader. Vader is a master with a lightsaber, mastering such techniques as Genso, Jarkai, and so on. He also has telekinesis. Vader could lift and move objects to their will, which is shown recently in issue 2 of the new Star Wars title when he tears apart an Imperial walker using the Force. Speaking of the Force, Vader is extremely skilled in the use of the Force, being able to do almost anything utilizing it, such as the iconic Force choke. This was an attack that Vader used via the Force to crush someone's throat. He also has Force repulse. Vader would concentrate in the Force and violently push it outwards, creating rapidly expanding kinetic ripples in space. The objects caught in the blast would disintegrate and the most distant objects would be pushed away violently. Then there's Force Crush. This deadly technique lifted the opponent in the air, and as they were floating there, their body would implode as it was crushed by the Force. Then there's one of my favorites, Force Rage. Vader could channel his anger to increase his own speed, strength, and ferocity. And Force Kill. This power was used to telekinetically destroy the victim's organs. And again, that's just really messed up. Vader can also throw his lightsaber in a boomerang fashion, with it cutting its way through obstacles and returning to his hand safely. He can levitate and suspend himself against the force of gravity. Vader can create a defense sphere around his body. It is described as a shimmering blue globe of energy and can protect him from almost anything. He can also become invisible, and with the power of the Force, he has accelerated healing. And listing his powers a little more quickly, he has precognition, telepathy, energy absorption, and mind control. Both characters have way more powers and abilities, but I think I mentioned a good amount of them. As for who I think would win this Sith battle, I basically feel like it's a toss-up, but gun to my head, and I have to pick one, I'm gonna go with Darth Vader. I love Darth Maul and feel like he could win as he's like a ninja assassin Sith Lord, hence me saying it's basically a toss-up. But I'm gonna go with Vader because he's just brute force. No pun intended. Okay. Maybe it was a little bit intended. But seriously, you guys heard me list all the stuff he can do with the Force. It's insane. Plus, I feel like Vader would kill himself or put himself in harm's way if it meant he would defeat his opponent. But now I want to know who you guys think would win this battle. So go over to our Variant Facebook page and vote on a poll we posted there, and I'll put the winner in the description of next week's episode.
Now, I mean, like, part of me would have leaned towards Darth Maul because has a freaking double lightsaber, and he's like a ninja like assassin, and he's quick as fuck, and it took 2 Jedis to take him down. Oh my gosh. And but then again, Darth Vader was the chosen one. He was prophesized to bring balance to the Force, and I guess that would make him more superior than Darth Maul. So and when he joined the dark side, I guess that really what's the difficulty on the Jedi, side of the war. So, well, that's it. Wow. Tomorrow is the night before opening day. Opening night technically. Thursday night screenings. Yeah. It's really hitting me seeing the marketing and the advertisements and hearing people talk about it. It's all hitting me at once. It's like the massive hardcore Star Wars fan has been awakened in me, and I just can't wait to hear people cheer and clap and go nuts and see them dressed up and bring their lightsabers and stuff. When I go see the movie, and I can't wait to see Lindsay, really totally geek out and everything. I may geek out along with her and everybody else. And this is like my early birthday. I keep saying birthday. Fuck. This is my early Christmas present to her. So, she's a big Star Wars fan. As some of you can see, for those of you who've seen my videos, you see that she is a big fan of those movies and stuff. And I feel like a pretty awesome boyfriend. Yeah. Now leave your comments. I mean, who do you think would win this battle? You know, you think it would be Darth Vader or Darth Maul? Let me know. And already, I mean, like I said, I think probably Darth Vader will probably get the upper hand. But I mean, if you agree, let me know. If you disagree, feel free to tell me. Just let me know what you think. If you enjoyed my reaction, thumb up the video. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you click subscribe. And may the Force be with you.
And don't join the Jedi Force. No, 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 no. Embrace the dark